They allow midshipmen to go back to their hometowns and give presentations about the Naval Academy. So they came to my school, and I saw the movie, and I went to my guidance counselor in the 8th grade, and I said, I think I want to think about going to the Naval Academy. I really like that movie that we saw.
From the Academy will come the men who will command these incredible craft and their awesome power.
And I'll never forget these words. I will never forget. Okay. And he says, Pete, why don't you concentrate on something reasonable? Negroes can't go to the Naval Academy. Don't you know that? And I said, it didn't say that in the movie. And the guy that was here giving the speech didn't say anything about that. So I didn't hear anything about Negroes not being able to go to the Naval Academy. And he says, well, you need to be thinking about doing something reasonable and think about something else. That sort of got me mad and got my dander up. And there was a TV show called Men of Annapolis that got to be quite popular, and I started watching Men of Annapolis. Now, I recognize everybody was white on Men of Annapolis, but I still liked the show. And then I was biased by the presentation, and I said, that's what I want to do when I grow up. I want to go to the Naval Academy. I do remember when Dr. King was shot, I was undergoing nuclear training in upstate New York. We were, apparently there was some sort of news release, and we all heard about Dr. King getting shot. And one of my classmates who rode crew at the academy, very muscular and very good shape, about over 6 feet tall, came up to me and he says, Tzomes, what are your people going to do now? Your big leader's dead. Just like that. Okay? And I told him, I know you're bigger than I am, but I'll tell you, I'll get one last kick in your crotch area and you'll never forget it. Okay? But only one person. Like there was about 20 of us in our class. He was the only person like that. And that's typical of my experiences back in those days. There was always the few who were like that, and they didn't hide their feelings about you or about your race. My first couple of submarines, it was, this isn't bad. And then I like what submarines did, especially when I start on fast attacks. I like what they did on what we called spec ops in the Cold War. And that was exciting, okay? And that kept me. And I said, I want to command one of these. And it just so turns out if I'm going to command, I'm going to be the first. The racial thing had nothing to do with motivating me, except for the fact that I knew if I got to command, I would be the first. But that didn't drive me. It wasn't, I want to be the first black commanding officer. I want to be a commanding officer, okay? This stuff is fun. I want to be in charge, okay? That's what I want to do, and just coincidentally, I'm black. It was May of 1983, okay? The boat was the USS Houston, SSN 713. And I took command in Norfolk. It was home ported in Norfolk. And then after I was in Norfolk for about 4 or 5 months, we made a permanent change home port to San Diego. When I arrived in San Diego, there were several folks in the black community in San Diego that made it a point, because I'll never forget, it was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night that we got into San Diego, and they were on the waterfront to greet me. That just made me feel, it's kind of hard to describe, but special, I guess.